I traced my favorite fitting shirt on this cloth, and on the small piece I traced my sleeves. Then I cut accordingly, leaving seam allowances. These are 2 pieces front and back of the shirt. These are the sleeves. Taking out all the pins which I inserted when I was drafting and cutting. Now I am separately folding these front and back pieces to draw and cut the front and back neckline. This is the front piece. I am folding it in half and pinning to avoid any shifting around. Once I am done all this, then I will cut front neckline. It is 3 inches deep and 2.5 inches wide. So this is 3 inches deep and this is 2.5 inches wide. Now I'm taking about an inch from the side diagonally and now cutting it out. So the front neckline is cut out. For the back neckline, measure the same 2.5 inches wide but just half inches deep. I am cutting 5 inches slit at the back, and afterward I will stitch buttons and make buttonholes there. Now attach both front and back of the shirt at the shoulders. Since I cut the slit 5 inches, so I am taking about 12 inches long piece to sew it to the both sides of the slit, and it's about 2 inches wide to sew it to the both sides of the slit. Fold the strip in half and then run a stitch on the edge to be able to easily control it. Now attach it to the good side of the shirt with leaving a little extra at the start of both ends. So you can cut it according to the shape of the neckline. When you are finished stitching it to the one side of the slit, then align the other side of the slit to the placket. It's called continuous bound placket. Now the strip is attached to. What we're going to do now is we will turn the left side toward the right side, and the right side will be turned toward the left side, and we'll settle it like this. So the right side of the strip will be on the top of the left side, and tuck the bottom inside. Once you are happy with its look, then run a stitch here few times back and forth. So here I am stitching it. This seam will keep the placket in right position and the way it's supposed to be. Now the placket is done, so at the down part we will attach buttons here, and at the top we will make buttonholes. Now it's time to trace our neckline to design our collar. For that, fold the neckline in half and trace exactly how it is. Once you are done with tracing, then measure 2 inches all around this line. I want my collar to be 2 inches wide. If you want it different, you can make it more or less. Cut this pattern out and use it to cut 2 pieces of interface. For cutting interface, you don't need to leave any seam allowances. Cut exactly how the measurements are. Now the interface for the collar is ready, so we will move on to the fabric and will trace same collar pattern on 4 layers of fabric. But this time we will leave about half inches seam allowances all around the pattern and cut it out. Now sew one piece of interface to the wrong side of one piece of fabric collar. Sew on all around this piece. Once you are done attaching the interface to one piece of collar, then take the second piece and arrange it under that piece and run a stitch on 3 sides, leaving the side open, which we will attach to the shirt neckline. This time when you sew it along the interface, don't sew on top of it because we are giving it a shape. so the interface should be avoided. Cut both of the bottom corners to remove the bulk and give the collar a smooth look. Now the collar is done, so turn the right side out. And now the collar is done, so iron it. And pin those both pieces of collar to the neckline and attach it to the wrong side of the shirt, because after sewing we'll flip it towards the right side, and cut a notch in the center of the neckline and attach both collars dead close to each other. And the side of the collar which you want to be on top should face down here, because afterward we will flip it, as I said. So attach the collar the way I am showing. The one side will be attached, the one side of the placket will be attached to the collar, and the other we will leave it. After pinning, now I will run a stitch all around the neckline. So after taking few stitches, cut notches in the collar while attaching this way. It will align to the neckline smoothly. So stretch it, and because of the notches it will be a lot more easier to attach it to the neckline. Now attach the bias tape on top. So now attach bias tape the way I am showing. Fold it at the start and at the end. By attaching the bias like this, the ends will be smooth. So fold it at the end and just finish it off. And after the bias is attached, cut notches here all around the neckline. Then fold the bias like this and run a stitch here. So now I am running a stitch on this edge, and after finishing this I'll run a stitch on the upper edge too. And keep the collar out of the way like I am doing here. Stitching bias here will give the neckline fullness, and after stitching that edge, run a stitch on top edge too. Neckline is done, and this is how the end result is. So thanks for watching.